Thursday night football, people have mixed feelings. Players generally don't like it, especially if they played that Sunday prior. Their bodies haven't had time to properly recover. Now, a whole lot of fans say that it sucks, and to be fair, a lot of the time, it does. Still, you can't deny it's nice to have a football game a few days early. And that's actually evident by the 9 million people that tune in every single week. And it just so happens that last week, I, being one of those 9 million people, saw a 29-year-old former D2 walk-on, potato chip factory worker turned CFL special teamer absolutely leap off the screen with the performance of a lifetime. The fact that Erik Harris even made it to this stage to perform this way in the first place is a miracle in itself. A miracle that your boy is about to unpack. Cue the way. Erik Harris was a small child when his parents split up. He was raised primarily by his mother. He gravitated to sports where he found adult male role models, and he fell in love with the game of football. He was that one cat on his high school team that never came off the field. Offense, defense, special team, dude did it all. He had a nose for the ball and helped lead his high school to the best record in their entire history during his junior season. They went 11-2. Now at that point, Erik was getting a little bit of attention from D1 schools, some for football, but mostly for track. On the football side of things, he was getting letters, but no actual offers. He strongly preferred football over track, as track was just a means to get in better shape for football. And he was pretty confident that as time went on, people would understand the type of football player he was, the D1 offers would come through. Unfortunately, they never did. During Erik's senior year, him and his girlfriend were involved in a serious car accident. Erik sustained some injuries, but his wife came out much worse. She had some serious head trauma and things was looking bleak for a little while. Fortunately, they pulled through, ended up staying together, and today they're married with 4 children. So that's love. The issue is, at the time, the letters stopped coming in for Erik. He stopped hearing from D1 colleges. Where he thought his recruiting would ramp up, it actually completely fizzled out. So he gets in this bad wreck. He's trying to recover from that. His girl is seriously injured, and he's not getting any football scholarship. This is a tough time in a teenager's life, for sure. Erik's mom couldn't stand to see her son dealing with this, and there wasn't honestly a whole lot she can do. So she did the one thing that she could. She wrote a heartfelt letter to California University of Pennsylvania. In the letter, she broke down what the game meant to her son. Amazingly, California University of PA got the letter. They reviewed Erik's tape and they liked what they saw. Unfortunately, they didn't have any scholarships left. So they offered Erik an opportunity to play as a preferred walk-on. All right, now let's slow this down for a second. See, California College of PA is a D2 school. So this man walked on to a D2 school. That's cool. You love the game, you're still doing your thing, but let's think about how often a D2 walk-on ever gets to this level. It definitely doesn't happen every day. At his newfound D2 school, Erik was relegated to playing special teams in year 1, a reoccurring theme throughout his entire career, by the way. But he made the most of it, leading the squad in special team tackles. That spring, he got a $1,500 scholarship. Cool. He worked his way up slowly over 4 years at that school, and despite a few all-conference selections, by the end of his D2 stint, Erik was not on any NFL team's radar. After that didn't work out, he went back to the crib to work at the potato chip factory. This was reality telling Erik to fall in line. What's a D2 walk-on to expect? Erik didn't accept that. Working in a 110-degree factory from sunup to sundown as a corn flour mixer is actually the perfect job to break a person. It's a job crucial enough to make you so desperate that you're willing to pursue your actual dream. I'd rather take my chance with failure. Here's a quote from Erik. Just growing up with a single mom and always seeing her fight and never giving up, and she has 6 kids. I got 4 younger brothers. My sister's the oldest, so always seeing her, even when it was down to picking a college, she was like, Erik, it can't end like this. It just can't. You have too much potential. It just can't end like this. And it's crazy because even though Erik grew up without his dad, he had a better support system when it comes to actually pursuing his dream than most people. Even most people that come from a 2-parent household, their parents still tell them, you know, go to college, get a job. They want as little pain as possible for their kids, and that's just a natural thing. But a lot of times the pain is where the prize is, you know what I'm saying? The obstacle is the way, all that type of stuff. Erik got a part-time job at UPS and went back to school. He'd go to work at 9 o'clock at night, get off at like 5 in the morning, go home, sleep for a couple hours, wake up, go to class. After class, go to the gym, and notice I never said anything about eating because he'd eat once a day. He'd eat a dozen of eggs right before he went to work, and that good protein and healthy fat would hold him down for the rest of the day. See, that's what you call a grind portion of your life. And it's key to understand, this is not sustainable, but it's not meant to be. See, when you go into this portion of your life, you gotta have an actual blueprint, an actual plan. And then this overdrive grind portion is just to execute that plan as quickly as possible. And by as quickly as possible, I mean somewhere between 6 to about 18 months, somewhere up in there. That's generally about how long you're gonna be in that portion of your life, assuming you've actually put a good plan in place and you stick to it. This created a discipline in Erik like never before, and it let him know that he could dig deeper. He thought he was working hard, but if need be, dude could go harder. Now, during this whole time, it kind of brought Erik's internal temperature back up. See, the temperature of his internal ambition had kind of leveled out when he went and got a regular job. Now that he was back in his grind and he's seeing progress, the temperature starts to raise back up. And you're like, damn, well, what else can I do? Next thing you know, his passion to play the game of football reignites. So that workout session after class and before work, oh, that was mandatory. One day, a free agent tryout came up in Buffalo, New York, 3 hours away from where Erik lived at the time. Dude jumped at the opportunity. He drove the 3 hours, paid the $80, and then nothing. He drove back home. The next day, same old grind, as he did not hear anything from the tryout until the following day. Yeah, it was only a 2-day wait. I was just drumming up the suspense. 2 days after the tryout, the phone rang. It was the CFL's Hamilton Ticats, and they were offering Erik a contract. Now, boom, the story could stop right here. It really could. We talking a cat who got no offers out of high school, went to D2, had to walk on there. Now he's got a contract to play professional football. If you know anybody that's in this grind right now, bro, this is not easy. You know, it take the right opportunity. It take a lot of things lining up. It take the team needing, you know, whatever it is that you offer, like that position. And then for all of that opportunity that you can't even control, you finally get your shot and you've got to perform. Erik did that, and now he's got a contract to play pro ball. Now, believe it or not, Erik was far from a star. Even when he was in the CFL, he was still a special teams guy, and that was okay with him. Despite the fact that Erik's dad split with his mom when Erik was young, they still developed a pretty good relationship once Erik was a little bit older. And unfortunately, Erik's dad passed away during his son's time in the CFL. So the man decided to dedicate a game to his dad. In that game, a team decimated by injury decided to run a trick play that would end up in Erik's hands. He didn't waste a chance. Dude took it 55 yards for a touchdown. Another injury got the special teamer onto the field on defense as well. And once this dude is on the field, there's no stopping him. He's just gonna make plays. He picked up a sack. Then he picked up an interception along with his normal special teams duties. That day, in a game dedicated to his father, Erik became the first and only CFL player in history to score an offensive touchdown, have a sack, an interception, and a special teams tackle all in the same game. Still, the NFL didn't take notice. It wasn't until his CFL teammate Devin Bro signed with the Saints that Erik would get on the NFL radar. See, Devin put in a word for Erik when his CFL contract ended, and the Saints decided to give him a tryout. They were impressed with what they saw and the versatility and special teamwork that the dude brought to the table. It was a no-brainer, so the Saints signed him on the same day he had his tryout. Boom, contract on the spot. Now the D2 walk-on potato chip factory worker turned CFL special teamer was a member of the New Orleans Saints. But unfortunately, it didn't last long. 4 games into the season, Erik tore his ACL at practice of all places. And just like that, his first NFL season was over after a month. The following year, once Erik recovered, the Saints brought him back into camp, but unfortunately, He was cut before the regular season even rolled around. He had come so far, but an untimely injury had seemingly ended it all for about 4 days. Less than a week after being waived, Erik was picked up by the Raiders. Once there, he did his thing on special teams as always, leading the Raiders in special team tackles during his first season. And Raider coach John Gruden took notice, moving Erik to number 2 on the depth chart at free safety. Prior to 2018, Erik got a legit shot at safety, getting lots of reps at minicamp. And as you've seen throughout this story, all this man ever needed was opportunity. He never got an opportunity that he did not make the most of. So after looking good in minicamp, he ended up playing all 16 games that year with 4 starts. He racked up 49 tackles with 7 passes defense and 2 interceptions. That earned him a 2-year contract extension and a starting spot on defense. This year as the starter through 9 games, he's already racked up 43 tackles and 3 picks, 2 of which he took to the crib. On Thursday Night Football, Erik Harris had 2 interceptions. He took 1 56 yards to the house, and he was a major reason the Raiders won that game. He actually should have had 3 picks, but hey, 2 is good, you know what I'm saying? It was enough. This was Erik's defining performance in the NFL. We're talking a player not good enough to play big time college football or to even get a look by the same league that he's eating in now. And while I'm sure Raiders fans have been hip to do for a pretty long time now, Thursday night, November 7th, 2019 was Erik Harris's coming out party for a ton of NFL fans. So careful what you say about Thursday Night Football, because one man's trash is, well, you know the rest. One.
Yeah, you'll never know quitter, 'cause I'ma go get her.